Hello friends, welcome to our channel SciChem. Hope all of you are well. Now we'll discuss a very important part of the science, that is chemistry. Please subscribe our channel if you have not subscribed yet. Let's go ahead to understand the chemistry. All of us know about the science to some extent. Also we have studied in last class about the science and how to understand science, many more things we have studied in the last lecture. So now we'll move ahead. So basically science can be viewed as a continuous human effort to systematize knowledge for describing and understanding the nature. For sake of convenience, science is subdivided into various disciplines like physics, chemistry and biology. So basically physics is the part where we study about matter and energy along with their interaction and behavior. So in physics also we study from very small quantum dot up to the universe, like very big things. Coming to the chemistry, so chemistry is the study of chemicals and reactions where we study about various matters and their behavior towards each other, how they react to each other. So then coming to biology, biology is basically divided into two parts. One is zoology, when we study about the animal kingdom and various parts of the animal and their functions, so that is known as zoology. And when we comes towards the other living part, that is plant side, so study about different plant behavior and plant parts, so that is known as the botany part. So now coming to the subject of chemistry, which is very important part of the science. So basically when we ask ourselves what is chemistry, or we ask somebody else what is chemistry, we think like chemistry is all about the chemicals or it's all about the reaction. But actually it is not all about the chemicals or reactions only. It also includes many more other things. So to know those things, let's go ahead with the definition of the chemistry. So chemistry deals with the composition, structure and properties of the matter. These aspects can be best is described and understood in terms of basic constituents of the matter, and those basic constituents of the matter are atoms and molecules. So to understand the matter, we have to understand their composition and we have to know the structure and their properties. So study about these things is known as the chemistry. That's why chemistry is also called the science of atoms or science of molecules. So in other way we can say like chemistry is the science of molecules and their transformations. It is the science not so much of the 100 elements from the periodic table but of infinite variety of molecules that may be built from these elements of the periodic table. So basically the periodic table contains more than hundreds of the elements, but chemistry is not only about these elements which are present in the periodic table, but chemistry also includes that infinite variety of molecules which are created by taking these hundreds of elements from the periodic table. So basically chemistry plays a very central role in the science and also plays an important role in our daily life. If we will talk about the chemistry things and the application part, so as we know, to synthesize very small medicine parts, so chemistry is very important, like the medicines which we take in our daily life, and to survive the things we eat, everything contains some elements, and to understand those things we have to understand the chemistry. As we understood, chemistry is all about the structure, properties and composition of the matter. So coming to matter, matter is those things which is having some mass and occupies the space. So in particular example, everything around us like book, pen, pencil, water, air, all living beings are composed of matter. You know that all of them are having some mass and they occupy the space. So basically matter exists in three physical states: solid, liquid as well as the gas. So basically in solid case the constituent particles are packed very tightly, so that tightness decreases towards the liquid. That's why the liquid is having a particular volume but not a particular shape. So when we talk about the gas in the gas state, the molecules or the composite particles are very free. They are very free to move here and there. So basically this matter is composed of the atoms. This tiny particle of the matter is known as the atoms. In other way, an atom is the smallest whole particle of the matter. So now question comes to our mind like, is the smallest particle ever exist is atom, or anything else exist which is very smaller than that of the atom? So basically the answer is yes. So the subatomic particles are still smaller than that of the atom. So this subatomic particle are the particles uh, which is basically meant for an atom. That means an atom is composed of the subatomic particles. So now we'll discuss about various states of the matter. So coming to gases firstly, gases neither have definite volume nor definite shape. They completely occupy the container in which they are placed. So basically in case of gases, the constituent elements like atoms or molecules are very free to each other. So they can move here and there very easily. Like if we'll keep the gases in this cylinder, that gas will have the shape of this cylinder, and when I will transfer that gas to this other type of cylinder, then the shape will change from this type of cylindrical shape to this type of cylindrical shape. Then coming to the liquid part, liquids have definite volume but they do not have definite shape. They take the shape of the container in which they are placed. Like if I will keep the liquid like some water here in the glass, so it will have the volume but the shape of the liquid will have the shape of the glass. When I will transfer the water from this glass to this bottle, then the shape will change from this glass shape to the bottle shape. So when we will talk about the solids, solids have definite volume as well as they have definite shape. So they can exist in various formats in different shapes. So as we discussed like gas, liquids and solids and the three states of matter. So now question can come like can these three states can be interconvertible from each other? Yes, these three states of the matter are interconvertible to each other. So now coming to the interconversion of the matter. So basically the solids can be converted to liquid and the process is known as melting. So when we will melt the solid, so it will convert to liquid by applying very high temperature. Then this liquids also can further convert it to the gas and the process is known as vaporization. When we will further provide more heat to the liquid, then it will convert to the gas. So we can also directly convert the solid to the gas and the process is known as sublimation. So now question can arise, can we go in backward way, like can we convert this gas to liquid? Yes, we can convert this gas to liquid and the process is known as the condensation process. So basically we have to apply pressure so that the gas particles will be closely packed and then the liquid will be formed. So further, if we will apply the pressure, so this liquid will further convert back to the solid and the process is known as freezing. Also, we can directly convert this gas to the solid and the process will be known as reverse sublimation process. So now coming to the types of matter. So matter is basically divided to two types. One is mixtures and pure substances. So if we will talk about the pure substances, so as the name itself suggests, it is pure. So that might be two types, either elements or compounds. If it is elements, the matter is composed of the only pure type of elements or single type of elements. If we will talk about something which is made of the compounds, so in that matter there will be only pure type of compounds. That means only one type of compounds. There should not be like compounds or elements or compounds of different types. So when we'll talk about the mixer, so in case of mixers are divided in two parts, homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixture. So basically homogeneous mixtures are the type of mixture which cannot be separated easily. Like if we will say I am mixing two solvents like some water solvent and some salt water solvent, so these two solvents can be mixed easily. So suppose I will talk about some oils, like I will take coconut oil and I will take mustard oil, so this both oils can be mixed easily. So these are known as homogeneous mixture. So coming to the heterogeneous mixture, when we are mixing two different types of matter like solid with the liquid which are not soluble, so in that case the mixture is known as heterogeneous mixture. Okay, now moving forward. So as we know, like to understand the chemistry, we have to know the matters, their properties, and the structure of matters. Then we talked about also the atoms, elements, and molecules. Now the time came to know the atoms and elements and molecules. So to get a clear idea about atoms and molecules along with the elements, and basically we used to confuse between these three when we are going towards the chemistry during our starting time. So there is no need to confusion actually. So these are very clear to understand. Now let's move ahead. So actually what happens when we are talking on about an element, basically an element is consist of only one kind of particle. That means as before this page I talked about the pure substances and mixture things. So element is a very pure substances. Basically this element is composed of by taking only one type of particles which are known as atoms. So now you understood, like element is composed of by taking the atoms. That means when some atoms mixed, then one element will be formed. So you can see here are some atoms like hydrogen atom, oxygen atom, nitrogen atom, copper atom, and sodium atom. So when we mix like one hydrogen with one hydrogen, so element of hydrogen will be produced. Like in the same way, when we'll mix oxygen with another oxygen atom, so then basically oxygen diatomic molecule will be formed. So these are, we can say, elemental hydrogen or molecular hydrogen also. So in same way, when we'll talk about basically the molecules, so what happens, basically molecules are maybe composed of the similar particles or maybe by different particles. If it is coming from a similar particle, so we can say it is a pure kind of elemental molecule. If it is coming by taking different elements, so we cannot say it's a like elemental molecule, you can say it a only molecule. So you can see here, this is a water molecule and this is a carbon dioxide molecule. So basically this water molecule contains two hydrogens along with one oxygen, whereas this carbon dioxide molecule contains two oxygen along with one carbon. So basically how it is formed exactly, if you will talk in that way, so this water molecule, that is H2O, can be formed by using one oxygen molecule along with one hydrogen molecule. So one oxygen molecule is basically composed of two oxygens, you can see here, and one hydrogen molecule is basically formed by two hydrogen atoms, which is a hydrogen molecule. So when we prepare this water molecule, so we have to use two different kinds of elements, the oxygen as well as the hydrogen. Similarly for carbon dioxide, one oxygen molecule along with one carbon element. So basically, to understand properly from this page, so what we can understand, like atoms belongs to element and this element belongs to molecule. So we can say in a superset way, so atom is a subset of element and element is a subset of molecules. Now moving ahead to know about an atom properly, going through inside of the atom. So basically all matters are composed of atoms existing individually or in combination of each other. Like that means an atom can be freely available as an element, otherwise 2-3 atoms can be combined to give an element which is freely available. So basically all atoms are smallest unit which involves the chemical reaction. That means when we are talking about a reaction, so basically the reactions are happening towards atomic level or elemental level. So now to know an atom properly, so basically at the center of the atom there is a nucleus part, so which is nothing but the mass of the atom. That means weight of the atom is only the nucleus, and surrounding the nucleus electrons are moving continuously. So basically these electrons are moving in a particular path, so they are like not switching the path. So in which path one electron is revolving around the nucleus, that path is fixed and that path is known as basically the orbit. So now we can say like one atom is consist of three parts. One part is nucleus, then other part is the electrons, and electrons are moving around the nucleus through a particular fixed path that is known as orbit. So basically atoms are composed of three parts as I told you now. So but yeah, in the nucleus there are two different parts. That means two different particles are available at the nucleus. One is proton and other one is neutron. So here the nucleus is positive and the electrons are negative. So as the nucleus is positive, so now there is two chances. So as I told, nucleus is composed of by both protons as well as neutrons. So now as I told also, the nucleus is positive charge. So there are two cases, like whether the both neutron and protons are positively charged or any one of them are positively charged. So actually proton is only positively charged and neutron is basically electrically neutral. That means neutron has not any charge at all. So in details, electrons are revolving around the nucleus having negative charge, but their mass is very negligible. So we can say its mass is 0. Then proton, which is located at nucleus, have the positive charge, that means +1 charge, and the mass is nearly +1. So similarly, the neutron is also located at nucleus and that has no charge, but the mass is 1. So now we can say, like, if one atom is there and there is one proton and one neutron, so we can say the mass of the atom will be 2 and charge will be 0, because as there is a one one proton, that means one positive charge. So basically there will be obviously one electron which is negative charge. So basically all the atoms are neutral in nature, having similar number of electron as well as proton. Now moving ahead to denote an atom properly in chemistry way. So basically there are three parts. One is atomic mass, then element, then the mass number. So basically A is nothing but the mass number of the element, X is nothing but the element which we have to denote, then Z is nothing but the atomic number. So as previously I told already you, so atomic number is nothing but the number of electrons or number of protons, whereas the mass number is nothing but the summation of proton number plus neutron number, as before I told you just now. In the nucleus is nothing but the mass, and nucleus is consist of proton as well as neutron. So mass number is nothing but the number of the proton and number of the neutron, and this atomic number is nothing but the number of electron as well as number of protons. So the way of notation we can show in this way, like mass number first, then element symbol, then atomic number. Also we can show in other way, where both mass number as well as atomic number will be on the left side, one is upper, one is the below. Also we can show in another way, both should be on the right side, and also another way we can show like both on the top and below. But which is the best way to show? So as here in a general way I shown by taking A, X and Z. So this is a perfect example. So carbon is having the atomic number 6 and with mass number 12. So these are the four different way that generally comes through, whether maybe textbook or we can write by ourselves, or teachers used to teach us by this four way. But among these four way, so what is the accurate way to write a atomic in proper notation format? So basically this second format is the correct way. That means we have to write both the things, mass number as well as the atomic number, on the left side of the element symbol as a superscript and as a subscript. So why this is correct way, that we will discuss by further classes. To know that, please subscribe and have get the videos automatically. So this is the correct way, that you please remember now. Now moving ahead, how to remember this atomic number, mass number, electrons, protons, neutrons, etc. So basically now we understood how to denote an atom in a proper chemistry way. So this is the perfect way, as I told just now. So this is the element which is carbon, and this is the mass number, that is 12, and the atomic number 6. So basically this Z, which I told you atomic number, so this is the atomic number, is nothing but the number of electrons, which is similar to number of protons, and that is also serial number in the periodic table. If you clearly see on the periodic table, so you can see this atomic number is nothing but the serial number of the element in the periodic table, and same that A is the mass number, which is summation of protons plus neutrons. Now, if you see the periodic table closely, as I told just before, there are different way of notation. So here they have noted like on the way of upper and down of the elements. So you can see here the atomic numbers are denoted on the top of the element, and the mass number is denoted on the bottom of the element. So to know properly what is the atomic number and the mass number, etc. So basically the serial number of the element in the periodic table is nothing but the atomic number. That means the boron is at the 5th position in the periodic table, carbon is at the 6th position. That means nothing, the 5, 6 both are the atomic number of the boron as well as carbon. As I shown here, the atomic number is nothing but the number of electrons and number of protons. So this 5 and 6 are also belongs to the number of electron and protons of boron and carbon similarly. So basically same thing for all the elements. And to know the mass number, that means to remember the mass number, basically the mass number is the summation of protons plus neutrons. As I told, like number of proton is equal to number of electron, that is equal to number of the serial in the periodic table. So we can clearly understand what is the electron number and proton number from this serial number of the periodic table. That means the boron is having serial number 5, means this 5 is the number of electron as well as number of protons in the boron element. Now coming to the mass, so as we know, the mass is nothing but the summation of protons plus neutrons. So now we know the number of protons. So basically the number of neutrons is basically equal to the number of protons, but that is not constant. That means that is not same for the all the elements. So there are some different elements that, like you can see here, this is oxygen. Oxygen is having 8, so the mass also 16, so it is same. So now moving towards the chlorine. So chlorine having atomic number 17. That means there are 17 electrons as well as 17 protons. So but the double of as I told, like neutron may be similar to that of proton. So as protons are 17, so we cannot say like neutrons is also 17. So here actual neutron is 18 point something. So basically the total mass is around 35 point something, so we can say it is 35. So it is not double of the number of the proton or number of atomic number. So it's 1 plus towards the number of protons, that is number of neutrons. So there are some different which you can understand once you will go through the basics of the periodic table. This is very clear to understand, and you can get easily more idea about the number of mass. So I mentioned here about some more different mass number which are not similar to that of the proton number plus neutron number. Regarding the neutron number is same as the proton number. So you can see here beryllium is having the atomic number 4, that means proton number is 4, but mass number is not 8, it's 9. That means there are 5 neutrons instead of 4 neutrons, because the number of protons is 4. So similarly for sodium having atomic number 11, but the mass number is not 22, it's 23. Similarly for chlorine, just now we discussed the atomic number is 17, but the number of neutrons is 18, that is 35. So thank you all having giving the time to listen the video. Please subscribe, share and like as much as possible, so that the next upcoming videos you can get easily. And please pass the videos as soon as possible to your friends, so that they can also understand the things. Thank you.